practiced the art of not caring about what other people think more than Diogenes the Cynic. We're told a bunch of different stories about him, but one, he's seen begging in front of a statue, and someone says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm getting familiar with being rejected." We're told he walks backwards into a theater, and people go, "What are you doing? You're doing it the wrong way." And he says, "Yeah, I might be walking backwards into this theater, but you walk backwards through your life." Right? He was always trying to do transgressive or weird things, trying to challenge conventions. And as a result, he becomes incredibly powerful and incredibly independent, despite being poor, despite living in exile, despite not having so many of the material things that we all chase. And there's even a story where he comes across Alexander the Great, or rather, Diogenes is sunbathing and Alexander the Great comes across him. Alexander the Great has heard of this great philosopher and he says, "Hey, I am Alexander the Great. Is there anything I can do for you?" And Diogenes says, "Yeah, you can stop blocking my sun." And his point was that he got to a place where even the most powerful man in the world couldn't do anything for him, and he didn't even care about offending the most powerful man in the world. Alexander the Great had conquered the world, you could say, but Diogenes had conquered the need to conquer the world. And that's what made him powerful. He was independent. He didn't care what other people thought. He lived in a barrel. He wore raggedy clothes. He was always flouting and challenging convention. I don't think we have to live as extreme as he did, but we can understand and learn something from the way he challenged these conventions. You think the whole world's going to come collapsing down if you do this? You think it's going to make you this or that? No, actually in Diogenes, we see him understand how hollow and silly and nonsensical many of the conventions we follow are, many of the boundaries we cannot dream of breaking. He breaks through and realizes they don't matter. They don't mean anything. And we have to get past that. If you've ever seen the HBO series Rome, Cato, the younger, largely believed to be the greatest of all the Stoics, is often shown dressing very differently than the rest of the senators. He's wearing black, the rest of the senators are wearing white. And this actually isn't just some screenwriter trick. As it happens, Cato went out of his way to look and dress very differently than his peers. Plutarch tells us that white togas or purple togas were then in fashion. What Cato did was always wear the closest to black that he could. On his morning walks, he would go without shoes or a tunic. He was trying to dress differently. He was trying to accustom himself, Plutarch says, to being looked askance at, to being judged, to being deliberately seen as unfashionable. Plutarch's point was that Cato understood that a lot of people feel shame about something that they shouldn't feel any shame about, like how they dress, and that if you can get comfortable being a little uncomfortable, being different, standing out in that way, that it actually helps you be independent. It helps you stand apart, which is ultimately what makes Cato great. As everyone sort of falls for Caesar, Cato sees the truth of it, and Cato doesn't mind standing alone. Cato's not seeking out attention. He's not trying to impress people. He's trying to cultivate the practice, the habit, build into his life, not caring what other people think, being his own person. And this is an essential part of Stoicism, not chasing the wrong things, and in fact, building up kind of a tolerance against the things that other people value or think is important. By deliberately going against the trend, Cato is proving to himself that he is someone who doesn't care about trends. And so when you think about what's popular now, it's not that you always need to do the opposite to be like punk or different or transgressive. The point is you want to cultivate in yourself the ability to be indifferent to trends or to resist trends, so that when there are intellectual trends or moral trends in your time, you're less susceptible to them. You don't just do what everyone else is doing. There's another Stoic, Chrysippus, who says, if I wanted to be part of the mob, I wouldn't have become a philosopher. That's what Cato was doing. He was going his own way and cultivating the virtue, the practice of doing his own thing.